Welcome to the session of Eden Digital Learning Europe within our Open Education Week. Session is titled Generative Artificial Intelligence Role Related to OER, How Teaching and Learning Can Benefit from It. I'm certain that topic of GenAI is absolutely something about which we all talking. And it's mostly in every sentence related to the education today. So while shaping this session, I was talking with my presenters and especially with my dear colleague Ebba, what we are going to talk about today in order to provide some insight, how can GenAI be related to open education resources? And as this is the Open Education Week, we wanted to find where is this overlapping between these two very important definitions. And so we thought that today in our session, we will share with you some of our examples and thoughts about it. We have short introductory presentations, after which we will start the discussion. We do have some questions about which we are going to talk about, but all of you are more than welcome to join in discussion by posting your questions to the speakers and share your comments. Just let me first introduce my speakers today. Yesterday, I was having one panel at in my institution, and they were all ladies as well. And today I have all ladies. But my explanation for this is tomorrow is the March 8th. It's Women's Day. So this is why I chose to have all women with me in this session. Nevertheless, not because they are women, but because they are experts in the field. So so that was win-win situation for me. First of all, let me present Professor Ebba Nilsson from Sweden. She's international consultant, expert, influencer, researcher, international quality assessor in the field of open, flexible, online, and distance education for international and national universities and authorities. Her particular focus is on quality, innovation, leadership, personalized learning, and well-being in the context of UNESCO SDG 4, the future of education and the new social contract. Ebba is board member of ICDE and chair of ICDE OER Advocacy Committee, and she has won several international awards, championship, and ambassadorship, and she is long-term Eden senior fellow. So I'm very happy to have Ebba on the board today. Today with us is also a new person to me, but a colleague of Ebba, and this is Rosa Eleanor Ulloa Casares, if I said it well, and I'm very happy to have her. She is a professor at the University of Guadalajara in Mexico, and she is a full-time professor, level 1, national researcher, and she's also ICDE OER ambassador, and her research profile includes innovation management and development, online education, student performance, and learning analytics. So welcome, Rosa. I'm happy that you are with us today. The next one is Professor Gila Kurz from Israel. She's Dean of the Faculty of Instructional Technologies at the Holon Institute of Technology. And she has a wealth of experience, having served as academic vice president at the company specializing in e-learning solution for the corporate sector for several years. And she has a number of other positions as the member of the steering committee of Eden, editor-in-chief in the interdisciplinary journal of e-skills and lifelong learning. She has been visiting scholar at many universities, and she has recently published a position paper, Higher Education and GenAI in Israel: Opportunities, Challenges, and Recommendations. And Gila is also a long time a member of Eden, and I'm very happy that she is with us today. And last but not least, Ilona Buchem. She is coming from Berlin University of Applied Sciences. Ilona is professor there at the Faculty of Economics and Social Sciences, and she's head of Communication Lab, which designs and implements innovative teaching and learning scenarios. And she has some very cute humanoid robots. I see lots of pictures about that. So I mean, but when we say Ilona, I always think about robots, you know. She's also teaches courses in bachelor and master programs, and has been designing and delivering technology enhanced learning for over 20 years. She has been involved in a number of national and international projects aiming and enhancing open education, especially through fostering cooperation in higher education and with industry. And I'm very happy that Ilona, you are here with us today. So these are my speakers. And before we start with our presentation, I want our participants to give us their opinion. How do they perceive the impact of GenAI on improving the learning experience? So I'll give a few minutes to participants to go to Menti.com. Just let me see if I can, if I open the poll. I will do it like this. Oh, sorry. I have to stop to share my presentation in order to see if it's possible to. Okay, let me stop sharing for a second. And let me see if I have opened the good slide. Okay. Yes, okay. So okay, and here is my slide. I'll put the Menti link into the room. So it is here, everyone. Okay, so I put it into Menti. So this is our first question regarding the impact of GenAI on improving the learning experience. So if you go to menti.com 64144532, you will be able to answer the question, and then I will share it maybe like a screen so it's easier to see it. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's now easier to go to Menti.com and answer the question. Okay, so if you look at the results so far, most of you agree that again, I enhanced the learning experience by providing personalized content and feedback. But still, some of you are finding it confusing and difficult to integrate into teaching methods, which can result in negative impact on the learning experience. And we have also some replies regarding that it has no significant effect on improving the learning experience. So maybe if some of my speakers would like to comment on these results at the moment, what do you think? Maybe I put it like this so it's easier to see it better. So maybe we can start, Gila, with you. What do you say about these results? You are muted.
Yeah. No, I can't read the pink one.
Pink one means, again, I enhance the learning experience by providing personalized content and feedback.
Fantastic. So I see that majority, I use it for enhancement, which is a good start, but I think we can also reshape the education using the generative AI. So I hope it will be in the future.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to comment on the results of the poll? Ilona?
Yes, maybe
Okay.
me.
Yeah, Emma, please, first you. Okay.
Yes, I can agree with you, Gila, because I mean, you see, the pink one is really dominated, and that is, of course, quite promising. But I will see in the close future that the other one will raise as well. But I would like to stress, as we will do in our session here today, hopefully, is also, I mean, it's not about the AI as such, it's about what AI can do for us and what we can do for AI. And with that is the human aspects and the ethical aspects very important. So
Yeah.
it's not just to increase the tool as such.
Yeah, okay, agree. Ilona?
I just wanted to comment on the results in red, the 11 answers that we have now. 11% said that it is still confusing and difficult to integrate. I think this also shows that there is still a need for discussion and teacher training and talking about. This is what we are also doing today, right? Presenting the example. So that's actually is an indicator for the relevance of what we are doing today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now we have one more questions before we start, so I'll just move on to the second question. This one is, how often do you put your teaching materials that you have created yourself in open access, that is as open educational resources? So this is a second question we have. So let's see what the participants will answer to this one. Yeah, let's see a few seconds. Okay, maybe Rosa, you can start here your first comment about the results of this question.
Sure, thank you. Well, I think that there are two options that are kind of tied. This is sometimes, and I do not publish my materials in open access. And well, I'm not sure if the second choice, sometimes, is the people is responding related to OER as the last one, right? I don't know if they are talking about open access materials or just materials that are of their own authorship. So I think it's interesting because it's not related to open educational resources, as I said, but also I think we are pushing forward to use our own materials more and more than ever. And I think this is more related also with institutional policies about creating teaching materials. Because, for instance, in my institution, the creation of teaching materials, it depends of the school or the faculty, if it's on the teacher or if it's something that the institution do by itself.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe anyone else who would like to comment here? I think that we still need to work on raising awareness about actually what are the open education resources and how they can contribute to the quality of educational process. How can they be implemented? And also working on shaping the culture of openness, because we do often say that we are open, but we work, when we are talking about education, we are working very, very much open, closed environments, learning environments. So we still have to work on that. Emma, you raised your hand.
Yes, I wanted to continue with this because the culture, as you mentioned, Sandra, is very, very important. And also seeing those pillars, it also shows that this kind of webinars, this kind of seminars, discussions, not at least, is so important because it's not just for the teachers as such. It's also, as Rosa was mentioning, about the policy of the institution, but also about the leadership on those issues and the incentives for teachers to use and publish with open science and with open education resources.
Yeah,
sometimes I think also behind those figures are maybe they don't know, that they're not aware, they don't know how to do it, and So there's a lot of need for capacity building at all levels.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, these are my first two questions. So we got some impression about what our participants think about the two topics which we would like to put together today in our session. So I will start now with these introductory sessions, and I'm inviting you, Ebba, in introductory presentation. So I'm inviting you, Ebba, to start with your introductory presentation.
First of all, Sandra, thank you very much for this both kind introduction for this session, but also way back for the invitation for us to join for this session and the discussion we had during the way about the topic and themes and how we can could proceed with this. It's always my great pleasure to be in the Eden community. It is like we used to say in Eden, it is to be in the Eden family. So it's always so nice to be together with you and to contribute. It is my great pleasure to be here on behalf of ICDE, which is the International Council for Open and Distance Education, and which Sandra mentioned. I'm in the board for ICDE for my second period of term, and I'm also sharing the ICDE OER Advocacy Committee since 2017. And I'm so pleased to have Rosa Leonor Odoa Terrazas with me today from Mexico. She is one of our ambassadors within the OER Advocacy Committee. So I just have a couple of slides to set the scene from our perspectives from ICDE OER Advocacy Committee. So first, very brief about ICDE, which is the International Council for Open and Distance Education. It is the largest and oldest organization in the world. We last year celebrated our 85 years anniversary at our annual conference in Costa Rica. And more or less since its start, 85 years ago, we have been in collaboration with UNESCO and the UNESCO initiatives. So we work in very, very close collaboration with UNESCO. And also from the UNESCO OER Global Coalition, which is about especially focus on OER. But with ICDE, we have some 250 plus members and partners. We have 70 countries in all the world regions. And with our members and both individual and institutional members, we have an outreach and impacting over 15 million students across the continents. It's quite impressive, I think. So ICD is working for open and flexible and distance education and advocating for that and do a lot of policy work together with our members, presidents, leaders, and individual members. And open education has always been very, very important. And in 2017, they launched the ICD OER Advocacy Committee. So I have been the chair for that since 2017. And we are working with ambassadors throughout all the 6 regions globally. So Rosa is in the region from South America. And we, as you see from those pins, we have an outreach in all regions. And you see also a small picture. There are all our ambassadors working with us. And of course, they have special responsibility for the region and the country they are in. But we are also doing a lot of things together because it is very much about collaboration. Our foundation is about, of course, the ICD policy strategy plan and the action plan, but also on behalf of the UNESCO OER recommendation and UNESCO OER Global Coalition. So we're working very, very closely with them. The last year, we have done a lot about OER and AI because, as we all know, it was a huge hype in 2000 last year. So we decided that we need to do something about that from the committee. So we have had already participated in 2 conferences. First, the ICD Costa Rica conference, the annual conference last year. And then also there was a conference in Mexico, which we also participated in. And from this research, we have also now published or will publish. It is submitted and it is accepted, and we will hand it in tomorrow, the final version, an article to Open Praxis. Open Praxis is the journal of ICDE. So from this research we have done the last year will also be the foundation for most of what we will talk about from our perspectives today from Rosa and me. We have also the foundation about implementing AI principles when creating and using OER content. So it is based mainly on 4 levels, like professional, ethical, sustainability, and equitable. And then, of course, there is about the accountability, transparency, and etc. And we will come back to that in our discussion. But those are the 4 pillars we are working on. And to end, I would like to invite you all to our upcoming conference from ICDE. We have regular leader summits where leaders are invited. You can be leader at different kind of levels. It is in Geneva, 5th to 7th of June, Geneva, Switzerland. And the topic of our leadership summit is ethical leadership in the area of AI. So hope to see you there. And as we said before, it is important for all stakeholders, managers, leaders, presidents, teachers, learners, to be involved in this way forward with living in the area of AI. So by that short introduction, I will leave the floor to one of my other panelists colleagues, and it's also so nice to be together with all the panelists here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ebba. And now we move to Rosa. So Rosa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I am from Mexico, as already you said. And I am involved in open educational resources since 2021, I think, right after the pandemic. So very much our work has focused on the dissemination of the UNESCO OER recommendation, as Eva said, and we have the opportunity to share our thoughts with another participants about the use of generative artificial intelligence on the implementation of the 5 action areas of UNESCO OER recommendation. So we were given 4 questions to introduce the topic. I'm not sure if this is the moment to talk about those questions, Sandra, or if we are going to. You're mute.
This is just introductory part, like opening into discussion. So we will go into questions a little bit later. Okay,
great. Well, I work on artificial intelligence algorithms since 2013, more or less. I focus on prediction algorithms, which is kind of the subject on generative artificial intelligence tools right now. Right? They are just predicting which word is best suited for that paragraph. So I'm kind of related with the technologies, but I'm also kind of worried about their use in education because I think we have to discuss several issues regarding to what the professors are feeling about this technology, that for most of them, they were unknown until 2022, right? So I would like to discuss more with the audience on these topics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rosa. Now, Ilona, we are going to you.
Okay, so I will keep it short. I have been involved in the different e-learning communities for many years now, and I have been working on different projects that have aimed at opening education. In fact, we have always been creating some open educational resources. So I'm also really interested in exploring how other colleagues and other person attending the session today, which experiences you have, and also interested to learn about your opinions, how we can best use generative AI to create and to reuse and share open educational resources. Currently, I'm using generative AI as a teacher, so I'm going to share some examples And I'm not quite sure at which stage we're going to show the slides, but this
now it's time.
Now it's time to show the
Yeah.
slides. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So I understood, just correct me if I'm wrong, that you wanted us to prepare some examples of how we're using this.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I just chose examples. I'm just going to play this. Examples from Agile project management that I'm teaching. I'm in the Department of Economics and Social Sciences. And these are just examples from the last semester. So just to see and compare what maybe other teachers are doing. So actually quite simple things, but quite useful things, creating different educational materials like case studies for students to work in teams and groups. So in this case, in the Agile Project Management course, I created, for instance, project scenarios for different teams, and they had to play the roles of Agile teams, the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. And for example, they had to use to write user story based on the project scenarios created by ChatGPT. So this is one example. The other one is that we had simulations of different events used in Agile project management, like daily Scrum, for example. So what I did here as a teacher, I used ChatGPT to generate scripts for students. And it was a role-play scenario where students took on different roles and they played together, simulating a daily Scrum meeting with 3 questions. And they used the script created by ChatGPT to understand how it could work in practice, or how a team what would you say in practice if this is your first time experience. And this third experience, the third example is using ChatGPT to create exam rules. So of course, every teacher has some exam rules in their head, but when you ask ChatGPT, it's actually quite interesting to see how broad these rules can be, and maybe some aspects that you have never thought about could be integrated into the rules, for instance, that you communicate to students before a written exam or any other type of exam. So this is what I also used last semester, and these are my 3 examples to share.
Perfect. Just a question, when you were designing this script for student by using ChatGPT, how did you verify that the content was good enough for script?
Yeah, I think it's always, for me, using GPT or generative AI in general is a question of co-creating, right? It's like a human and synthetic content coming together. So I would, as a teacher, I would never use one-to-one what ChatGPT is creating, but would read it and actually edit it. So I just use it as a template, as a draft that helps me to have the first idea of how something could be structured, or some maybe details that could be included in the draft, but I never actually give it out to students in the same form as ChatGPT creates it. So I always have my own human quality check as a step between. I don't know how other colleagues do it.
I think it's very important, and that just shows that it's important to have human to check it. Otherwise, it can be, because I try to produce some tests for students, and some questions were really silly, especially the answers. So you have to check it.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Gila, now it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. So I think that if I look back at what you presented, I think that I will bring kind of different point of view, because in my institution, in my faculty, the AI is implemented in strategic ways. So if you'd like to see examples, it will take us a few hours. So I invite you to come to Eden conference, because we will have we sent 10 or 15 papers about what we are doing. So I will share my slides in a minute, and maybe give you some kind of things that we've learned from a year and a half of using AI within the learning with the open educational resources. And also another note, I invite everyone to send a paper to a special issue of the Rodel of the Eden, which will be about AI, and I'm the leading co-editor, and Ilona is part of my team. So the deadline is March 20, so you are very much Welcome. So here is what my presentation. I'll do the full screen. So okay. So just to show you what I meant by strategic, we have a special program within IM and Holon Institute of Technology, special program of on using AI in instructional technologies. So we, for a year and a half, we implemented it with our program. And I want to share with you something really unique that we did. We asked the student to help us. So you can see now, I'm sorry, it's in Hebrew, but they also developed for us, with us, the curriculum using AI, which was, I can tell you, it's fantastic. So you should try it because they have their eyes and they are different than ours. So I want to give you very briefly some key implications that we've learned so far, and maybe we'll elaborate it later, about the students, not about the teacher, but more to the students. So I divided it into three parts. One is the learning process. Yes, it's shortening the time, and it can be very nice to shorten the time, but we have to be careful so the students will learn and not just copy paste, but shortening the time. This is one thing that we've learned with the use of generative AI within the learning. It can make you a personalization. So a student can learn like he is a student or is 12 years old or something like that, or it can be personalized to his or her needs. Now we started the co-pilot of Windows. I'm not so we're using it so for personalized learning, and I think this is something that with the AI there are things that we couldn't do it before. And something that we've looked, and maybe you also had the impression, like when you work with ChatGPT, for example, it's like a buddy. You talk to ChatGPT because he answers you or she answers you. And so it's kind of, you have someone to learn with, like a co-pilot with you. So this is three things that we saw about the learning processes. And again, I would be happy to elaborate later. We saw that we need the kind of learning skills. I don't want to say new learning skills, but they bring up the importance of special learning skill, originality. It can add to be more, the student can do much original work. Again, we have to be very careful that the originality will be of the human and not the technology, creativity. I can't tell you, I mean, I'm looking the outcomes of the students that develop application and UI UX of the application is fantastic, and the personas that they are using AI to do it fantastic. And of course, you all agree with me that critical thinking, like the man in the loop, what it was said before, Eba said, man in the loop, like the human should be there, and we have to teach the students our AI literacies, especially the critical thinking. And the third, we all know the ethics. First of all, accessibility. This is the main issue that we have to bring the students, and we talked about long before. We have to understand about the data protection and privacy. We have to look at it. It's much more than it was before. And the main thing that we don't know what is the database on and the algorithmic bias that we know that are within there. So students have to be aware of it. So I did very fast share with you. And so thank you. I'll be happy to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So very nice a presentation related to ideas, what we have to think about when using generative AI. If we start discussion, I will start with my first question. I saw that we have questions in the question and answer. We'll come to it a little bit later, but maybe the first question would be, how to generative AI contribute to improving the accessibility, equity, and inclusivity of open education resources? So maybe Eba, we can start with you with this question.
Yes, so thank you so much, Sandra. As I said in the introduction, we will mainly focus on of our answers of the research we have done the last year about those conferences where we reached out to over 70 people, international participants at both of the conferences, and the questions we asked them were about open education resources and AI and its relation. So we actually did questions around each of the 5 areas of the OER recommendation. So how can AI contribute to improving accessibility, equity, and inclusivity of open education resources? And from the answers from our participants, they said yes. I think in one or more sentences, but there were a lot of doubts as well, because as has been mentioned, you need to humanize the answers and the feedback from AI, and you can also have it like a second opinion, but it can, as it is so easily accessible, it can be reachable and accessible for each and everyone. And with that, it can also include learners and people and educators. So if you focus on education, for example, it could include personal growth, collaborative learning, and knowledge sharing. And AI can then be a tool to promote creativity and innovation in teaching and learning, and also for professional training. When you talk about inclusivity, it is very much related to equity, equality, diversity, and accessibility, and not at least the language issues, which is really sometimes really a problem, because we all know that language is so much more than the language as such, and it is much more easier to learn and to understand and to develop your own learning pathways in your own native language. So with that, it is a huge resource for inclusivity. And it can also prevent discrimination in that way. And also, as was mentioned by Jürgen, I think it was, about the institution as such, it can help you a lot to do things which you maybe don't need to do, so to say, so you can spend more time and be more included with your learners and really spend quality time, and to develop a culture of learning, learning instead of, have all those kind of repeating lessons and boring lessons. So saying that, there are a lot of issues, of course, to take care about, and that is not at least what UNESCO is saying themselves in their report about AI and education. We need to have human in the loop, and not just in the loop, but be the first runner in this loop. So this is important because it is very much about respect, trust, security, reliability, and not at least another human perspective is about empathy, which we need to take care of. So there is a lot of opportunities, but as always, with the new things, we need to be critical, and we need to also be flexible enough to adapt to those new technologies. And as I said in the beginning as well, AI is not an issue as such. It is how we use it and what AI can do for us and what we can do for AI, because in the end, there are humans behind most of the things. So I will stop there.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Lorna, you would like to add something to this question in your comment?
Sure. So in the meantime, I had a look at the example that Sukaina shared with us about how the university in Cape Town is empowering students. And I think this is a great example of how equity and equality can be enhanced by allowing students to be co-creators. For instance, they have this example, Sukaina, correct me if I'm wrong, co-creating chapters in a textbook, right? I think this is a great example. And I also shared, because I also got this question in the chat about who are the co-authors when you talk about the co-authoring. And I think it can also be that the students are the co-authors in different stages. So for instance, in the examples that I described before, I was first the co-author, together with the AI, then I give the materials to my students, and then they can work on these materials and improve them. So it can be like an iterative process where students are co-creators, and in this way we can empower them, involve them, make the whole process more participatory, and in this way, hopefully more inclusive to everybody. At least when we work with students directly, I guess it becomes more of a challenge if we think about open educational resources that are used outside of the formal education, maybe where students are not getting the guidance of the teachers directly on how to use these resources or work on them. But I have honestly no experience with this, so I don't know if anybody else can contribute. I'm just thinking that this is probably more challenging than the formal education context.
Yeah, thank you. But we have a good questions in here, and maybe Rosa, you can start with this one. Nalim says that challenges that she has seen for the most people is using GenAI is inability to humanize the generated information. So what would be your comment to this question?
Thank you, Sandra, for the opportunity. Well, as Eva said, in our workshop, we have the opportunity to collect not only the worries, but the insights of the participants. So one thing that emerged from that discussion was that this is an inflection point, and the output of the generative artificial intelligence, it should not have to be taken as it is. It's the first draft, but we are the revisors, as our Elona and Gila have shared with us. We have to check the outputs of the generative artificial intelligence in terms of drafting, in terms of writing, in terms of the accuracy of the information they are providing us. So that's what I can share about it. It's an emerging topic within educational area. So we are all experimenting with those tools, right? So not be afraid of that, and let's try to make it the output more human as we can do it.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe Gil, this question by JP Bosman is a really good one, because he says, is GPT, whichever is by itself an OER, and what differentiates it, ChatGPT from traditional OER? I would say that maybe ChatGPT is in a way and will enhance the OER, because by using some ChatGPT, we are trying to be more open somehow than we are used to. So what would be your answer and comment to this?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that if we look at ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, Gemini, they are open educational resources, because they are, we don't know the algorithm that's really behind it, but these are huge OER that we can use it for our purposes. Like it's a giant Wikipedia. It's more just Wikipedia. It's text, it's video, it's audio. This is one thing. And the other thing, that you can tell the story like a student. You can tell a story by writing a text and getting a video. So I don't know if you saw Sora, which is also, again, it's all open. And so it's really open. And the other, like the things that are closed, will not be there. Like, our papers that are closed under, you have to get permission. We will not be there. So we will not be there. OER. Yeah. Thank you, GP Bosman. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and so, but definitely it will impact the open publishing as well, as you comment that. But let's go to the first question, which is maybe more focused on OER. Christina is asking, there's quite a skepticism among academic staff in using of OERs. What would be advised how to solve this challenge, and what we can done to meet the skepticism, and how we can create a culture for sharing their educational resources? At my university as well, teachers are quite skeptical in sharing their own learning resources. There's always a question of the copyright there, and I don't know, but if you see all the benefits of OER as a transparency, as the improving of the quality, accessibility to wider audience, and if we can take tips, small bites from everyone and make a better thing from that, all of us will gain, and all of us will have a better impact. So maybe Eba, what would be your advice to Christina?
This is my favorite. This is my favorite question.
Yeah.
Because it's always raised in all kind of contexts. My reflection on this, I have been myself in this field since its really beginning in 2002 when the concept was launched. And again, it is not a question about OER as such. And I think we have to, first of all, to come away from that. It is a question about common good. It is a question about human rights. It is a question about democracy. It is a question of sharing. It is a question of collaborating. It is a question of not leaving anyone behind. We know that, for example, OER is used a lot, but it's quite often behind LMS walls. And that's the way it is. So coming away from this discussion, we need to change perspective, I think. We need to take the perspectives of what's in it for me, and more take the perspective of human rights, common good. What is paid by tax money should go back to the taxpayers. And that is actually also in the OER recommendation, very, very explicit, expressed. So I think we have to now and then go back to the OER recommendation and remember also it was adopted by all member states. But the follow-up, which was last year, I have seen it. I don't know if you have seen it yourself, but it is a quite interesting read in some place, because first of all, it was just 50% of all the member states who answered, and those who answered were some 50% again, who really cared about the issue of OER. So there is a long way from capacity building to implementation, but most of all, we need to see what are the incentives for all stakeholders. I think this is very, very important. And you can hear that I'm so eager about this now, because it is, we have to change the perspective and see what's in it for me, and how can we change the narratives, how we talk about OER as well. And how can we see how we can develop a culture of openness, collaboration, sharing? Because that is exactly what the OER recommendation is about. And you need to see the ecosystem of it, not just the text, open textbook or the resource, so you can share it here and there. That is not the point. It is the ecosystem and the holistic perspective of it. So I will stop there. Otherwise, I can talk for hours.
Thank you. Very good reply. Let's move further because we are getting more and more questions. So maybe to join these two questions from Josefa and Styrolia, I don't know. One is one area that might be something that educators need to learn is how to teach users of GenAI to identify bias in the response and comments, and as long this is it safe to use AI in secondary education and with the guidance of the teachers. So maybe Rosa, you can start replying these questions.
Sure, thank you, Sandra. Well, I think it depends of the exactly, the educational development and the stage that the students are, and we have to focus on teaching them some precise topics about consciousness, awareness of the limits and the performances of these tools, right? So they can start to develop their own critical thinking, right? So in accordance of the age of the students, we have to focus our use of the tool in classroom and in their homeworks. I think we have to involve parents as well in this kind of the task or homeworks, so they can be involved in the education and in the evolution of the educational issues by using generative AI together, right? So we have to consider that there is also the topic of the digital divide. So it's not finished yet. We have right now, without using generative AI tools, we have an important gap between people access, awareness, knowledge, practice, etc. So this can be wider, the digital divide. I think these are topics that we have to be very careful and to teach and to try to discuss, to open the conversations about this topic as well, and not only in the use of the tool as it is. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I saw somewhere in the comments the comment that says ChatGPT 3 is open, but if you want ChatGPT 4, which is gathering the information, present information, then you have to pay. So where's the openness in that? And especially regarding the biases in the response and comments. Maybe Ilona, you would like to comment also on this.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Rosa that we should be sharing and that we are all learning, and that's why we also should be staying in in discussion and sharing our experiences. And I think this is also true about prompting, prompt engineering, because this is so important for the outcome of what you are creating with tools like ChatGPT. And Rosa, when you talked about the divide, I always have to think about how different understanding people have about what is the right prompt and how to prompt and what result you can actually achieve. And this is something where I see that there is a huge divide. There are still so many persons that simply do not know how to prompt these tools to create something meaningful. And I think this could also be not only the materials produced, but also this process of how you create these materials and how you design your prompts. Where can you learn about prompt engineering? And for this, I'm always grateful to our LinkedIn community because I think you get so much information. There's so much information shared nowadays about how people experiment with prompting and how different prompts can lead to different results. And this is where I personally learn a lot from this community on LinkedIn. I don't know about the others, but it could be also interesting to learn where the communities are, where we can learn from.
Yeah, I think that the communities of practice and as such is very important because it enables us not to each of us start from the scratch and build our knowledge, but by sharing the examples and know-how to go quickly, much more quickly to the higher levels, to advanced level of understanding some information and getting an idea how to use it. I think we have just good questions for you, Gil, from Laura Ferrollo. She says, being generative, GenAI produces variable and unpredictable outcomes extremely quickly. This might turn out to be more time-consuming than we'd hoped for. For example, designing lesson materials may require further adaptations and piloting, which teachers may not always find practical. Where can trainers start from the developing AI literacy and teacher professional development? Perhaps we should rethink the notion of time management and content creation. So as you said, you are using the AI for a year and a half already at your university. I think this is just perfect question for you.
Yeah, so I would like to answer different topics. Like, let's start with the OpenER by ChatGPT, Gemini, and all. We have to understand the commercial, they are not educators. They want to make money. So they start with the free, like ChatGPT 3, and then they charge money. And Gemini, for example, Claude now is very good. Is very good and is free. Well, the free version is good. I will wait like in a month, it's going to be also by payment. So we have to understand this will be kind of by payment. So this is one thing. Again, let's talk about the prompts. We do believe that the prompt engineer will be much more easier as the day passes. It will be much more natural, and you learn the prompt, the basic prompt that you have to be direct, precise, and so forth, but it will be much more easier. And another thing that I don't know how much of you familiar with it, like we are using APIs. Like, for example, we are doing the prompt, but behind the scene, in a class, behind the scene, we send a hidden prompt saying like, you have to look at this and this and this and this. So, and this way we eliminate the risk of getting content that we didn't expect it to be. So it's kind of knowing how to do it, much like doing it with computer students, we do computer science students. So this is how it's going to be. And the last thing is, yes, it's time consuming and it will be time consuming, but this is the fun thing. You have to learn, you have to go through the process, and not like the process is one of the benefit of learning. Thank you.
So your message is that having more work to do is fun thing. Yes. Well, I know that teachers are getting more and more things to learn, to know how to implement. And it's not only AI, it's open education resources, sustainability, green ecosystem. So every day there's something new which they have to implement into their teaching and learning process. And often their time, which is specified by their contract, is not changing, in order what they have to produce, especially in the classroom. Okay, we have one more question. The APA manual already published how to cite ChatGPT if you will use them as your resource of information and literature in your research work. What do you think about this? So I'm opening this question. Who would like to answer to this one? About the citation of when you use, you generate the text with ChatGPT, how you cite it, is it okay? Okay.
Can I share a story that happened?
I will give floor first to Ebba, then you can share, Gila.
Yes, I will say thank you very much for this question, and I will answer it first of all. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have now from the OER Advocacy Committee just published our paper, and we have the opportunity to revise it quite a lot. So we have I will really say that we have learned a lot thanks to the guidelines from API. And I will say also, as you were saying, Gila, this is a process you have to learn. It is not there from the beginning, but I will say for myself, I really have learned a lot how to cite and how to do it properly, to be transparent and to be fair, and to not at least be with ethical consideration, because quite often we also saw that, I mean, I see it every day, and we saw it at our workshops as well, that, and I think you mentioned it from also Sandra in the beginning, that many people have a misunderstanding about OER, that they think as long as they can find it on internet, it is free and it is an OER and you can use it or however you like. And that is not the case for OER, and that is definitely not the case for AI. So we just have to learn how to do it. And I think the guidelines which are out there, and I think you can agree with me, Rosa, because we have, you and me, struggling a lot for our paper now, which we will submit tomorrow. So really to do it properly and transparent. So maybe you can continue. I think you maybe have other issues as well.
Thank you, Ebba. Gila, please.
I agree with you, Ebba, and I think right now, if I be very straightforward, I think we are now in a chaos with the things of what to write and how to write. And the story I wanted to share with you was just last week. We sent a paper for review, and we got a message that I don't know what they saw, that the paper was based on kind of AI instruments. And I said, no, I'm sure not. And then I remembered I use Grammarly. I don't know if you're familiar with Grammarly, which is English, because English is not my mother tongue. So the current Grammarly has kind of editing and also suggesting pronouncing. So I wrote to them, maybe because I used Grammarly, and this is why I do it. And they also wrote to me, you have to say that the ideas were not yours. So sorry, the ideas were mine. I used Grammarly, so now we are under review. So this is really, you know what? And I don't know about you, and I don't want to say that I can see that this is something that ChatGPT wrote. I don't know if you understand that all the things, like if you ask something in ChatGPT, it will be very positive, very, very positive. So you can hear like it's, and also with the, if you see the pictures, if you see in DALL-E, or you really, you can see that this is the language of AI. But again, it's a whole new game. We have to think about it. What can we do about it? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I just recall, sometimes Wikipedia was like a common good, you just took it, what was written there and put it in your papers. And I know that my students just loved it, and then when I said, but you quoted Wikipedia and said, but it's open, we can use it, like with ChatGPT now, it's open, you can use it now. So, but that definitely, I think what we need is maybe a guidance, actually, what is authorship and copyright, and how can we use resources which are available. And this is where I think these Creative Commons licenses can help us in understanding who is the author and what we can do with the documents or pictures or animations or codes or everything else we are using. Okay, we are run out of the question from the speaker, from the participant.
Sorry, Sandra, I think Rosa had something to say here.
Okay, I didn't see. Sorry, Rosa, please.
I'm not worried, but thank you, Eva. Yeah, I was thinking about this type of authorship of the generative AI tools, right? And I think it's kind of a philosophical question. But first of all, I would like to say that as usually APA has a very structured guidance in how to use and how to cite adequately the use of generative artificial intelligence tools. So I recommended to use it as well as Creative Commons description of the licenses, right? But in this matter, we have the same experience that Gilia has shared with us, because some reviewer commented that we have created text with the use of tools. And our mistake that we didn't give a precise, or we didn't point out which texts were generated by the tool and which text was generated by ourselves, right? But actually, the text that the reviewer identified as artificial intelligence generated, they weren't. So I don't know. I think we are going too fast in this judgment, because as Gila said that she was using Grammarly, we have been using for me, English is not my first language as well, as you can notice, but we always have using translators and editors, correctors, services to improve our writing in English, right? So previously it was a human correcting the text. Now it's a tool. And maybe there is something awkward in what the reviews are seeing in our documents, right? And the authorship of the document. The ideas are us, but maybe how the tool formulate the ideas is not original or is copy. And we have to be aware of that this happened. And so we have to take care of it and try to reformulate the output of the tool as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Emma, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, may I just add, because I'm on behalf of ICDE, I'm involved in a network which is called a Network of Open Organizations, and there are different kind of organizations working on openness, and one of them is Creative Commons, and we had a meeting this week, and we discussed this issue as well. But maybe but just wanted to share that Creative Commons the organization is working quite hard about this to try to set up some kind of information, and not information, but guidelines or this kind of things. And as you were saying, Rosa, we expect that everything should be ready from the very beginning, but we are in some kind of process, and we all have to contribute to the lessons learned. But to my understanding, Creative Commons is working quite hard on that this now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's move with the question I prepared. So maybe Lorna, we can start with you. In what ways do advanced natural language processing techniques enable generative AI to personalize learning materials with OER platforms? So you have already had some experience with this. What would be your suggestion and comment on that?
Yeah, I think that language is really an important issue, and I don't know if you have ever tried it, but you could, for instance, prompt ChatGPT to create a text at a specific language level, proficiency level. So this could be, for example, a way of personalizing depending on the language proficiency. So, for instance, if we are having students that are not native speakers, we could create maybe simpler texts just by prompting ChatGPT to create a text, not maybe at C1 level, but at B2 level, and it would just make it easier for them to understand what is generated. So I think this is quite an obvious example that working with language could be a way to personalize the materials that we are creating. Yeah,
okay.
That will be my answer.
Thank you. Anyone to comment on this question as well? Would like Rosa, please.
Thank you. Well, I just want to add that right now, actually, generative artificial intelligence tools are not learning from us, from our inputs. So I think we have to be aware of what we can ask and what we cannot ask, right? Because we can ask some list of open educational resources, but they cannot apply by themselves a quality criteria to assess if they are quality or if they have quality or not. So we cannot ask to ChatGPT to assess one material, because ChatGPT what makes is to create text only, and it is also limited by the database that is available to it, because the free option of ChatGPT is limited to some period of time, internet search questions and web pages. So it's not like we are going to have the last research or the last quality criteria to apply, right? So we have to be aware of how the tool works to know what we can ask and what we are going to obtain from the tool, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. You are right, because the ChatGPT is actually harnessing the all information available on the internet, and there's a lots of fake information, poor information, quite wrong information in interpretation or as such. And so we actually have to be very careful in putting the information on the internet if we want to use ChatGPT in more quality way, in order to have more material, more replies of the quality which are meaningful. Otherwise, we will just get the bucket of garbage, in the end. Okay.
Can I add, Sandra?
Yes, please. Yes.
If you want to do research or work, don't use ChatGPT. There are other like elicit. I'm putting here in the link a list of tools that we are using for research. So you're like, if you take elicit, I'll show you the list here. And like you have paper, and it will give you how many times it was cited. It's much more than Google Scholar. It will give you papers on a special position. And so you can also have SciSpace and Consensus. They are all really good, really good application AI, not ChatGPT. You have to use this kind of tools that will give you also some kind of quality assurance.
Thank you. Very, very good information. I also wrote it myself down. Okay, we are coming maybe towards the end of our session. So maybe one question to all of you to summarize somehow. What would be your recommendation with the advancement of AI technology? What is crucial for educational stakeholders to take lead into integrating GenAI in OER initiatives? So what would be your suggestion or your point, or what is important to think about in that way? So it's quite challenging for educational leaders and stakeholders to integrate everything which is new into teaching and learning process, to make it on the high level of the quality, that to ensure that there are standards and it's done properly. So I think they need any advice they can get in order to make it quite well. So maybe Ebba, we can start with you.
Thank you. Yes, it is a wide question and very important, but not so easy to answer, of course. First of all, I think, as Rosa was saying, and also I think all of us has mentioned, that we need to realize and see that this is a tool, and we need to see behind what's in it for me, and how can we benefit, exactly what is in the title of this this webinar, what is the benefits for us, and how can we also not maybe but improve the tool as such. And as it is a tool, we need to see the human aspects, and that is the human perspectives first of all. This is very important, and also as always, when you have new things around you, as we saw with have seen with OER for during the 20 years, we quite often just leave it to the teachers, and that is not fair. We need again to see the infrastructure and the holistic perspective and the ecosystem, because each of us within an institution, within a school, within a university, within the society, we are involved, and we have different kind of perspectives. And this is very, very important. And as I mentioned also earlier, there need to be incentives for each of us to use it and to be involved and take ownership also within this process. And that takes time. So we can't just do it, above everything else. And we need to understand how we can build the infrastructure, build the processes, build the culture, build a collaborative community, because each and everyone have a say in this field, and this is really, really important. And that's why it is, for example, that is also why we have this leadership summit with ICDE now in summer, because this is really also a leadership question. How shall we see that everyone can be on board on this journey, because this journey we have to do together, and togetherness and the human perspectives. And that is also what UNESCO is promoting so much. It is the human perspectives, which is so important. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ebba. Ilona?
Yeah, I think Ebba already mentioned very important points. I think what is maybe like under this human and connected together, maybe some pragmatic things that could be important is like preparation, training, whatever you call it, of teachers and students, both of the groups, and probably also other stakeholder groups that's in different organizations in higher education, in schools and beyond. And what you also mentioned, Sandra, the standards, I think this is like an ongoing process in every organization that has to be negotiated, because there's just so many different ideas what the standard could be for example, when citing the use or declaring the use of generative AI tools when students, for example, submit their final thesis. There are just so many different ideas how this could be done, how this can be controlled, not controlled, declared, and so on. So I think there are many discussions and negotiation processes that have to keep on going as we evolve our understanding of proper practices, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you. Rosa?
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, well, I wanted to share some of the results that we collected from the workshops. And I think it's very important to highlight the emotions of the teachers. They share with us a lot of uncertainties, fears, in particular interests. What we can conclude about it is that they are afraid of the consequences of using artificial intelligence tools to create the resources or the papers, etc., because they believe that these schools depreciate the value of the work they are doing. So I think it's a matter of policies, because we are being assessed, we are being evaluated by this kind of authorship rules, in general, the creation of papers and that, the citations, etc. So this is a very important and urgent issue that institutions and educational systems have to address to provide confidence people, and they can abort the use of artificial intelligence tools more openly and more honest and ethical, because right now they are afraid about how people will perceive their work if they accept the use of artificial intelligence in creating that things, right? So I just want to put that in the discussion. So
Thank you. And Gila, please, your comment.
I agree with all of you. And yes, we have teachers that are afraid from the technology, and also leaders and decision makers that they don't have time and they say, no, I don't want to go in within this. And you're talking about incentive. Well, I'll tell you what is the incentive. If you don't do it, you will be obsolete. You will not be relevant. And this is something that we have to understand. And bear with me, it's not that I think that AI is fantastic. And yes, I love working with AI, but I know I have a lot of concerns. But what I know that if I'm a leader, I have to understand, and I do myself the things like, as a dean, I have all my faculty that can do, and Ilona knows Dan, my head of undergraduate school. So I force myself to work. So in this way, I have first-hand impression. So this is a game changer. That's for sure, for the humanity, not just for learning. So I call upon everyone, just try it and take someone to help you. Students, ask a student to help you. He will do it or she will do it happily.
Yeah, I agree with you. Before, just Ebba, I'll give you a hand. I'll share my questions for the final part. So please, the question is, has this session changed your mind about the potential use of generative AI in teaching and learning process? So please cast your answers if you're willing. Ebba, please, you wanted to comment.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on or continue with what Gila was saying. We need to face this development with AI, because it is there and it will be faster and faster. And I don't know in your feeds, but in my feeds in social media, there is a sentence coming up always, like as you mentioned also, Rosa, that many teachers are afraid. Teachers will not be replaced by AI, but maybe they will be replaced by teachers, by staff, by people who understand what AI is and what it can do. And I think this is a huge difference. I just wanted to bring that forward.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Definitely, today society is such, so we are not teaching our children and students to be able to be employable, but we also teach them to be valuable citizens who will know how to live and enhance the society they are living in. In that way, education has to follow the what's new in the field of digital technology and other related issues to the education and to society as such. So as I said, we cannot just take one thing or say it's important that we have children in school because we are social beings and it's important to have human contact. Nobody's disputing that, but we have to be able to integrate what the future is bringing, what the today is bringing, not just the future, in order to be able to live in the future and to enable our children to live properly in the future. Definitely digital technologies and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these issues around it, neural networks, deep learning, the extended reality, everything we are, robotics, everything that is around us has to be part of our education, which we will provide to students, because if we want them to be lifelong learners, they have to come out of the education with some knowledge and skills about it, and be able to learn further about it and to use it. So let's see. I think that we have very good answers. A majority of participants said that we have changed their mind about potential use of GenAI in teaching and learning. So I think that we managed to deal quite well in this. Thank you. And the last question is, has this session inspired you to use OER in your teaching? What about using your OER as such, especially when you are using some other materials that are not your own? Are you aware if these materials are in open education resources, or they are just available on the internet? So I think we get positive answers. Here we still, maybe we should have tackled more the OER in order to better understanding of the participants about it. But okay, we are much more on the positive side. So I'll stop sharing this, and thank you for the answers. And my last slides are just the announcement. So let me just announce that, as I said, this is the last session in the Open Education Week Eden has organized. The sessions, all the sessions are recorded, and recordings will be available at the Eden Digital Learning web pages. And I'm certain this session will be also, a recording will be available at ICDE as well, web pages. I would like to announce the very soon event, as Eden is participating in European Digital Education Hub. We will have one session at the March 21st, Beyond the Virtual Learning Environments, looking at learning platforms in the post-pandemic world. So if you are interested, please join. You can find more information at the Eden web. Next thing is, we have heard about it already. It's Eden Annual Conference, which will be in Graz in Austria, June 16 to 18. And the topic of the conference is artificial intelligence. So definitely the call is open for the papers. You can submit it until March 15. You're very welcome to join there. And the last one, just as information, it's our biannual activity, Eden Research Workshop and PhD Masterclass, will be in October in Timișoara, Romania. So more information you can follow at the Eden web pages. And I think that we have come to the end of this session. I wish to thank to my speakers. I think we had a very good session, and I wish to thank participants who were quite engaged in answering to us our question and posing a question to us. So big thank to all of you, and well, till the next event we have. I wish you the good day and enjoy the spring which is coming. Thank you.